Are the suburbs of Portland underrated or overrated? Well, in this video, we're gonna bring about a spotlight to some of the great neighborhoods, suburbs of Portland that often get overlooked and overshadowed by their yesteryear counterpart, urban neighborhoods. And we're getting after it right now. I'm Ann Stewart, my team member Erica Hagfirst and I, we put out content every week here on the Portland Life. If you're a member, hello again. And if you're new, welcome, and hit that subscribe button so you can get their content put out every single week. We love building this community, and we even love it more when you guys reach out to us. We love to get the calls, the texts, the emails, and hopping on Zooms with you to help you make that transition to Portland smoother. So if that's you and you're new to our community, we would love to make an introduction and hop on a call with you. Okay, in this video, I thought it would be appropriate to basically say that I know the urban areas, the cool urban areas of Portland get so much attention. I mean, Portland is known for its, we always call them on this channel, the cult classic neighborhoods, especially on the east side, a few on the west side. But oftentimes people don't understand that the suburbs are just as cool, or can be. And believe it or not, a lot of people in the last few years have moved from those cool cult following east side neighborhoods out to the suburbs. I know, I've let the cat out of the bag. And you know how I know? Because we are helping people do it. And also when we host open houses, it never ceases to surprise me where that person trolling through the open house is like, well, I currently live on the east side, but I want to get to the burbs. Why do they want to move to the burbs? There can be a lot of reasons. Number one is, and we've talked about it in some videos, where maybe their neighborhood has changed and not for the better. There are some parts of east side of Portland that are experiencing a lot more challenges in the way of property crimes, homelessness. Just the overall feel has really changed and not for the better. And they want to be in the area that feels like the east side neighborhoods, but maybe with these suburban, elements that maybe they don't have to experience those same things. And we hold no judgment, depending on where you're living and where you want to live. So a lot of people are looking for a different change, or maybe they're living in a house that is really like a 2-bedroom and they're growing a family and they're adding to their, the people in their household, and they need more space and room, and they might need an extra bathroom. And so at the price point at which they could sell their house at, which is probably a lot, they can go onto the suburban area and get a little more house for their money. Maybe they're looking to transition to be closer to friends or family, or maybe just a completely different shift in the way they live. Maybe they want to be closer to parks or a certain school district. There's a lot of reasons people move around Portland, honestly. And that's the great thing about Portland is we're not all one type of house and neighborhood. We've got some diversification. So if your lifestyle changes, your family dynamics change, or you quite frankly just want a completely different area based on upsizing or downsizing, that's kind of the beauty of it. And where do a lot of people do that? They do it to the suburbs. So the suburbs have have become more popular, let's say. Back in the early 2000s, when I started my career in real estate, it was all about living in the urban areas. And, I don't always feel like I was cool enough to live in the urban areas. I kind of knew my place in the suburbs, but over the time, we've seen people expand out and discover that the suburbs have stuff to offer as well. So we're going to talk about in this video a few suburbs that we tend to people see move to because they still offer maybe a lifestyle, an experience, maybe it's the schools or just a bigger house for the money. Let's get after it. The first suburban or bedroom community we often see people inquire about is West Linn, Oregon. Now, West Linn doesn't have the shock and awe prices that, say, Lake Oswego does. The average sales price in West Linn at the time of this video is right around $1 million, which is a lot, but it's not as much as Lake Oswego, which is $1.5 million at the time we're doing this video. But they want good schools, and West Linn schools are rated top of the top out there. Their athletics are really, really top of the top. We have a lot of professional athletes that go on to be, or a lot of kids that go on to become professional athletes out there. I grew up in West Linn, and it was kind of similar back then. There's a lot of people that transfer into that school district for the school. So sometimes we see people bypass some of the communities that are more urban to go directly to the suburban community of West Linn. Now, it is a bedroom community. I tell people that West Linn is a fantastic community, great schools, all the things, but it's not that close to stuff. Like, it takes forever to get to Clackamas Town Center Mall or Washington Town Center Mall if you're looking for shopping. There's not a ton of shopping close to West Linn. You have to get on a freeway to get to, Bridgeport Mall or, any of the other malls I mentioned. So if you're looking to be really, really close to like amenities, there's just not a ton available in West Linn. It's a lot of neighborhoods, a lot of housing, a lot of schools, but it's just not super close to stuff. Yes, they have a grocery store. Even the grocery stores, it feels like they need another grocery store in West Linn. There's at least 2 that I can think of that are there. And there's one that could really be well suited close to the Willamette district. But it's just, I don't think it's that close to a lot of amenities, but they do have a lot of parks. They have awesome neighborhoods, a large variety of neighborhoods to choose from. You are close to the river. You are close to freeway access in a lot of cases. You're close to Highway 43, which takes you from West Linn to downtown Lake Oswego and down to Portland. But in general, you're just not close to a lot of things. But again, the schools and the neighborhoods override that for a lot of people. And so it does a great job of holding and maintaining its value. It has a great reputation, and it's where a lot of people choose to go when they look into the suburbs. All right, the next suburban location is Bull Mountain in Tigard. Now, a lot of people from the outside of Portland looking in are like, Tigard? They never spell or say the name correctly. It's Tigard, and it's a cute little community that's kind of right next to Tualatin, butts up against Beaverton, Lake Oswego. It's not super big, but it's not super small either. But Bull Mountain is a mountain or a hill in the Tigard area where a lot of neighborhoods sit. It's very much suburbanite there. There's a couple of elementary schools on top of Bull Mountain. So when you live in that community, you can sometimes walk to those schools or a quick, easy drive to get to them. Part of Bull Mountain is the Tualatin school districts, believe it or not. So Tigard, Tualatin share their school district. So there are areas of Bull Mountain, even though it's a Tigard address, that go to Tualatin High School, which is an excellent high school, as well as the other part that goes to Tigard High School. There are actually a few, at least 1 or 2 high schools that are close to Bull Mountain, but depending on where you live, you're going to go to Tualatin or Tigard, and it's really close to Sherwood as well. But there's a lot of growth happening in Tigard Bull Mountain area, primarily River Terrace and River Terrace 2.0. We have done videos on that as well. So if you want new construction or want to be in the area, there is some options that are happening and will happen for the foreseeable future. A lot of areas that are kind of being pushed out for growth. And, there's just a lot of amenities nearby for families. Like Progress Ridge is a great shopping area. They have an anchor store there called New Seasons. There's a cinema, there's restaurants, coffee shop. A lot of like beauty nail type things. There's Big Al's, there's a lot of things happening there. And they're also building out more things as they're building the new construction area near River Terrace. There's supposed to be another big anchor store. Think it's rumored that it might be Fred Meyer, which is kind of a big, all-in-one supermarket, home good type place. We don't know for sure yet. And then there's going to be a lot of retail in the River Terrace area that's going to be built out. So just a booming area, really good school districts on Bull Mountain, especially the elementary schools. And you really can't beat the location because you can get to downtown Portland pretty fast from Highway 99. You're really close to Lake Oswego. So if you didn't want to pay Lake Oswego prices, but you wanted to be close by, you're just a hop, skip, and a jump over from there, close to, a lot of different, shopping like Bridgeport Mall, Washington Square, and you just really can't beat the locations. And pricing isn't too bad. I mean, you can get a good house on Bull Mountain under $1 million. I would say you're probably safely looking in the 700s to 800s for, your typical 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath home over 3,000 square feet. But they have options as low as the 600s on Bull Mountain. So if you're budget conscious, trying to stay, there, you can find stuff. But it's just a great option for people. And there are some houses on Bull Mountain that have views of Mount Hood or the coastal range. So it's worth exploring, as well as having some houses that were, built back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s with really big lots. which a lot of people love on Bull Mountain. If you can get a big lot, that's a bonus. But if you're looking to explore housing kind of in that, you don't want to be in Multnomah County, you want Washington County taxes, then that's the spot for you. We can't forget about Tualatin because even though it's a smaller footprint for neighborhoods than say like Tigard, it is really close to the freeway. We've done a video on Tualatin as well, but it has a lot of neighborhoods. It's definitely suburban. It definitely feels that way when you get back into the neighborhoods. But in general, when you drive through Tualatin, like the downtown area or off the freeway, it kind of feels like you're in a little bit more of like a, not really commercial, but there's a lot of businesses and restaurants and things of that nature. But when you get tucked back into Tualatin and you start seeing the neighborhoods, there's really nice options back there. Lots of parks. There's a community feel within Tualatin. They do a lot of things in the way of community events throughout the year, and it butts up against Tigard, and then Cook Park trails kind of, go to and from the Tualatin, Tigard areas, which is nice. Sometimes you can't tell when you're in Tigard or Tualatin, and they do share the same school district, like I mentioned in the earlier video. So it's a really good neighborhood that offers a lot for people in the way of housing. And you can get older homes that are on larger lots, but you can also get homes that were built in the 2000s. Not a ton of new construction happening anymore in Tualatin because quite frankly, there just isn't the land for it. A lot of areas closer in suburban areas, we've mentioned in other videos that they just are landlocked. There's not a lot of areas for builders to build any more subdivisions. So what'll happen is a builder will buy a plot of land, whether it's an older home on a really big piece of land, chop it up, put like 8 houses on it. So there is some newer homes that you can look at, but they're usually only I would say they're under 15 homes at best in most cases. Like I said, builders try to find lots and land to build a small subdivision anywhere they can in the suburban areas because there's just not a lot of them to build on. Tigard is the exception. They had large parcels of land sold to big developers in the last decade, and that's why we're seeing a lot of these bigger developments happening in the Tigard area, and they have the land for it. But in Tualatin, we just don't have a lot of land left, but it's a great option to be in that area. Price points are probably, on average in the 700s. School districts are good. You can, like I said, you can buy an older home. And it's really easy to get on and off the freeway from there. A lot of amenities are within the Tualatin area. It does get a little congesty there on the main road, the Tualatin Sherwood Road. So, you just have to be mindful of where you're buying in Tualatin. But overall, it is a great suburb that I think a lot of people underestimate or don't think in terms of buying in. All right. Now let's talk about Beaverton. Beaverton is huge. So we're only going to talk about one particular area of Beaverton specifically, and that is the Murray Hill Conestoga location. Now Conestoga is an older neighborhood. Homes there are built in the 70s and 80s. Great schools in the Conestoga area, and you really can't, beat some of the pricing that you can see over there. They're older homes, but a lot of them have been lovingly cared for. It's really neat neighborhoods to kind of wind in and out of. A lot of one levels. So we've talked about how valuable one levels are. So there's a lot of options over there for one levels. But if you're looking for something a little more robust of a suburban neighborhood, look no further than Murray Hill. It is an established neighborhood. On average, the homes are close to the $1 million marker. They can go up from there. They're usually larger footprint homes. They're grand 2 or 3 car garages and big lots. Big lots are a big deal here in the Portland metro area, especially in the suburbs, because what do families typically want? They want a little space to run. They want to be able to enjoy their yards. And the thing that the new construction doesn't give us is yards. So a lot of times you're going to compromise. If you're looking in the suburbs, you're either going to get a newer house on a small lot, or you're going to get an older house with a big lot. But the thing you need to be aware of is sometimes the houses are dated. So in Murray Hill, there's a combination of homes that have had some updates done to them, a lot of updates done to them, or no updates done to them. And when you're looking at a house that's 30 plus years old, it's important to realize that, the cost of the house is going to be decided upon how many updates, both system, structural, and cosmetic. So the more cosmetic and structural updates have been done, the more the price point. So be aware of that. That's kind of the protocol for a lot of the areas of the suburbs, including like Bull Mountain, what I talked about. The older the home, the larger the lot, sometimes even views, but you're probably going to not have a house that is on the low side of the price, or you may have to take on something that needs still some updates. But Murray Hill is a fantastic option. It's close to Murray Hill shopping, and that's really important for the suburban communities, because when you're in the suburbs, you want to be close to amenities, restaurants, shopping, things of that nature. There is a Safeway nearby right in the heart of Murray Hill shopping. You've got a bunch of restaurants like Chipotle and Pizza Cotta. You've got a 24-hour fitness. You've got a Starbucks. You've got a Walgreens. And then you got a myriad of other stores and things that are at your fingertips. But it's really easily accessible as well to Progress Ridge, which is not right in Murray Hill, but it's close enough. It's like right over the Shoals Ferry Road. It's easy enough to get to. So you kind of have two pretty sizable shopping areas nearby, which is delightful. And Murray Hill is not a super big area, but it's big enough that you can, see a lot of housing in there. You can walk, it's walkable. There are trails nearby. It's bikeable, so if you're looking for something in Beaverton, but you kind of want it to be close to things, this again is a underrated subdivision, and the houses are actually fantastic. So we highly recommend, if people are looking for kind of that bigger, more robust house, they look in Murray Hill. And if they're looking for something a little bit more like 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, more modest, older, bigger lot, they're looking in Conestoga, which is just across the way from Murray Hill. But that location of Beaverton has a lot to offer, close to things. So we usually say to people, you can get a lot for your money in those areas. Another neighborhood that is often underrated is Sherwood, Oregon. Now, if you're not from Portland or don't know very much about Portland, maybe you are living here in Portland, but Sherwood kind of sounds like a small town, and it's been known as a small town on the outskirts of the Portland metro area for a long time, but it is booming, it is growing, and they also have great schools. You can get a lot for your money out there as well, but I will caution, it has gone up in price quite a bit over the last few years as its popularity. It's got back roads to get onto the I-205. You do have to travel through Tualatin Sherwood Road, which is kind of a bear in traffic, to get to the freeway system if you're going to go that route, but you can easily get through to Wilsonville and onto the I-5 pretty fast in the back roads. It backs up to country kind of feel properties. The urban growth boundaries out there, wine countries out there. They just built over the last few years the largest high school in the state of Oregon. It looks like a fortress. We've had another video on Sherwood, Oregon that shows you kind of a little bit more about that. But a lot of families are moving and are in Sherwood. It's a very family community. They've got a lot of franchises out there. We've talked about that before in other videos, where it's not your mom and pop local shops per se, but a lot of franchises like the old Spaghetti Factory, Red Robin, Walmart, Target, and a bunch of myriad of other types of, kind of fast food or restaurant styles. They've got lots of shopping. You don't have to leave Sherwood for a lot because they have a lot of the amenities local. It just offers a lot of families the ease of being a family within an area that you don't have to get outside of it too much for. So a lot of people push out to Sherwood, and it also has a lot of acreage options. I know we're talking about Suburbans, but if you're looking for really nice acreage style properties, they have that as well. But the suburbs in Sherwood offer a lot. There's a neighborhood called Woodhaven that is a planned community done back in the 90s and early 2000s. They've got a myriad of other neighborhoods that are all around, but there's just a lot to offer if you're looking for a good suburban location. Okay, so that's the video on the suburbs that are underrated and why. There's always going to be a need for suburbs. There's a myriad of reasons for that. If you're considering the suburbs, maybe you're even considering like urban versus suburbs, reach out to us. We oftentimes kind of go through some question and answer where we can help you identify what might best suit you. Or maybe you're just like, what suburbs would work for me? That's kind of where I see myself. Then reach out to us. We always have these kind of conversations with people to help them prepare for their home search. And we appreciate you guys watching today, and we'll see you on the next video.